Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and like. Our series begins with a young man harassing a girl on the subway, but no one notices what he is doing. Suddenly, the girl, who had been asleep, wakes up screaming after having a nightmare. All the passengers immediately realize that the young man had been harassing her. The girl pushes him away and shouts, "He was harassing me!" Before the people can attack him, we notice his eyes glowing with a strange color, and that's when we discover that he is a vampire. Everyone becomes terrified of him, and the passengers start screaming. A bag of blood also falls from him, and when someone steps on it, the blood splatters onto the clothes of the girl, whose name is Mary. After that, Mary goes to clean her clothes, and we notice that her eyes glow as well, just like the vampire from the subway. This is when we learn that vampires live among humans normally, but they hide their true identities because humans are still not fully accustomed to or accepting of their existence. Later, Mary enters the classroom, and the teacher scolds her because it is her first day at school, and she has arrived when the first class is almost over. At the same time, the video of the harassment incident on the subway has already spread throughout the school. When the students see Mary in the video, they immediately gather around her and ask her about the incident, how she sat next to a vampire, and why he did not harm her or anyone else on the subway, despite vampires being known for their danger. She reassures them and tells them that she wears a necklace that protects her from vampires. Afterward, Professor Han enters and talks to them about vampires. He explains that vampires also have the right to live and receive an education, and that there is a peace treaty between humans and vampires. The treaty states that vampires have the right to education and integration into all aspects of society, provided that they do not harm humans or feed on their blood. After the school day ends, Mary takes the subway home and sits next to a classmate named Hang, who is the most popular student in the class, and also the class president. As usual, Mary falls asleep during the ride. While she is sleeping, her vampire instincts awaken, and she catches the scent of Hang's blood. She begins moving closer to him unconsciously. Hang does not understand what is happening and thinks to himself that she is asleep and should not be disturbed. At the last moment, an elderly woman notices Mary's strange behavior and raises her voice, causing Mary to wake up suddenly. She is shocked by what she was about to do and quickly moves away from him. Later, Hang finds a notebook that Mary accidentally dropped and takes it with him. Out of respect for other people's privacy, he does not open it right away. However, he later decides to look inside and discovers that it is a notebook filled with guitar compositions and that Mary writes these melodies herself. He then takes out his guitar, which he has not touched in more than 3 years after he stopped playing because his mother, who had been his support after his father's death, married a vampire. Since she was a music teacher and the one who taught him how to play, he came to reject everything that reminded him of her. Despite that, he starts playing Mary's melodies and finds them very beautiful, eventually becoming impressed by them. At the same time, Mary realizes that her melody notebook is missing, so she gets another notebook and begins rewriting all of her compositions from memory. The next day, Hang goes to school, and it happens to be his birthday. He spends the day as usual, and when he leaves, a girl approaches him to give him a birthday present. However, he refuses because he sees Mary and wants to catch up with her. When he finally reaches her at the subway station, he stops her and starts talking to her. He tells her that she was supposed to apologize to him, but Mary does not even remember who he is, which leaves him completely shocked because he is the class president and one of the most famous students in the school, yet she has no idea who he is. At that moment, Mary catches the scent of Hang's blood, which smells incredibly delicious to her. She covers her nose with her hand so she will not continue smelling it. When he asks her why she is acting that way, she replies, "You smell terrible. It looks like you don't even take showers." Then she adds, "If you have something to say it quickly." Hang then takes out her music notebook and returns it to her before leaving. After that, he goes to a restaurant where we discover that Professor Han is also present. It is also revealed that Hong's mother wanted to come, but he had refused to meet her. Han sits down with him and tries to talk to him, but Hang refuses to listen and wants to leave no matter what. Before he goes, Han offers him a gift from his mother, which turns out to be a guitar, and tells him that she had wished to give it to him herself. Hang accepts the gift, and as he leaves, he notices Mary working at the same restaurant. She performs as a singer to entertain the customers. He stands there watching her for for a while before leaving and returning home. Once there, he begins remembering his memories with his mother. He recalls how she used to teach him how to play the guitar and how amazed she was by how quickly he learned. He remains lost in thought for a long time as he reflects on those memories. The following morning, Hang goes to school and heads to the music room. He picks up a guitar and starts playing, hoping to forget what he has gone through in the past. Suddenly, he hears a noise and assumes it is a teacher or a staff member. However, it turns out to be Mary, who had grown bored during class and decided to come and play music for a while. While she is trying to play, a flower vase begins to fall, but Hang catches it before it hits the ground. Mary then realizes that he is there. Feeling embarrassed, she quickly leaves. A few moments later, she comes back because she forgot her bag. At that point, Hang suggests that they start a school band together. He tells her that if she joins, he will join as well. However, she refuses, takes her bag, and leaves. Afterward, Hang goes to Professor Han and tells him that he wants to form a music band at school and that he would like Mary to be one of its members. Professor Han reassures him and says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." Han then goes to a girl named Arya, who is the principal's daughter. She is extremely popular among the students and is also deeply attracted to Hang. He tells her that the school is planning to create a music band and that after looking through all the classes, they found no class better than theirs. He then explains that Hang has already joined and wants to gather the rest of the members. Han asks her to help convince the students, especially Mary, to join the band. Arya immediately agrees and leaves. At the same time, Mary's locker, where she keeps her belongings and food, is left open. Arya notices this and decides to change the locker's password. She does it for no reason other than the fact that she had previously seen Mary standing with Hang and felt jealous. More than 12 hours pass without Mary drinking any blood. When she tries to open her locker, she cannot because she does not know that the password has been changed. As a result, she quickly leaves school and heads home before she loses consciousness. However, on the way, she collapses in front of a young man named Sun, who is also a vampire. He spent his childhood with Mary when both of their families lived together in a center that monitored vampires. Sun gives her some blood stored in containers that resemble tomato juice bottles. As he does so, he remembers their childhood days when he used to help her in the same way when they were young. Afterward, Mary returns with Sun, but they are surprised to find Hang waiting for them. The three exchange glances, and then Hang walks toward Mary and says, "I asked you to apologize to me, but you still insist that you don't remember what happened, so I'm going to make you remember." He then starts moving closer to her in the same way she had approached him on the subway. At that moment, Mary remembers everything. She also realizes that he is the only person whose blood she finds irresistible, although she has no idea why. Meanwhile, Sun stands beside them, completely confused about what is happening. That night, Mary's father calls her and tells her that her younger brother has disappeared and that no one knows where he has gone. The problem is that vampire children under the age of 10 cannot fully control their instincts when they become frightened or hungry. Mary rushes out in a panic and finds Hang still standing in front of her house. He has already learned about her brother's disappearance, so he stops her and talks to her. He takes a picture of the boy from her phone, and the two of them begin searching for him. A short time later, Hang receives a message revealing John's location. He tells Mary where he is, and they immediately head there. When they arrive, they find the child. However, John has caught the scent of Hang's blood and is on the verge of attacking him and feeding on him. At the last moment, Mary arrives and saves her brother before he can harm Hang. She then takes him and leaves without even thanking Hang. The next day, Mary feels guilty about the way she treated Hang. She goes to see him in the music room and says, "Thank you for everything you've done for me, and thank you for saving my brother. I'm sorry for leaving without even thanking you and making you look like the kidnapper. I also remember everything that happened on the subway, and I want to apologize to you once again. Please forgive me. And if I kept running away from you every time, it was beyond my control, and there are reasons I can't tell you about." Hang replies that all he wanted was for her to acknowledge her mistake so that she could correct it. He says that an apology does not change what happened, but it does leave a positive impact on the other person's heart. He then tells her, "Listen to this song until the end, and don't run away this time." Mary agrees and sits down to listen to him. And Hang begins playing the song. Mary becomes deeply immersed in the melody. After he finishes playing and notices that she is still sitting there, he tells her that he saw her singing at the restaurant and also discovered that she is talented at composing melodies. He then suggests that they form a band together. At first, Mary hesitates because she is afraid of getting closer to him and also fears that someone might discover her true identity. However, she eventually agrees. They successfully form a band consisting of 6 members. Mary takes responsibility for composing the melodies and choosing the song lyrics, and together they select a name for their group. The day of the performance finally arrives. Students and teachers gather to watch the concert, and the band delivers an outstanding performance. As a result, they become one of the best musical groups in the school. After the performance ends, Mary takes her guitar and heads to a lighthouse known as the Lighthouse of Wishes, a place where people go to pray for their wishes to come true. A short while later, Hang arrives as well. As soon as he sees her, he tells her that her wish has come true. He then admits that he had wished to walk the same path with her, and when he found her there, he felt that his wish had already come true. Mary smiles and tells him that her wish has also come true because she had wished for him to come to her. At that moment, they both confess their feelings. Mary tells him that she loves him, and Hang confesses that he loves her as well. They spend a wonderful time together, and afterward, Hang walks her home before leaving. On his way back, Hang overhears Professor Han talking with Sun, their classmate. Sun had long held a grudge against the professor because he had never told him the full truth about why his family had been imprisoned. As Hang listens to their conversation, he discovers that Sun is actually a vampire. Hang becomes extremely angry. He waits until Sun leaves the house, then violently confronts him and says, "I know everything now. I know that you're a vampire." Sun becomes angry as well, and a fierce fight breaks out between them. Hang manages to hit and injure him, but Sun's wounds heal within seconds because he is a vampire. Hang looks at him and says, "You may look like humans, but you're monsters. All vampires are monsters, and they should be wiped from the face of the earth." He then warns him, "And I don't want to see you here again. One more thing, Mary belongs to me." On another day, Hang and Mary are walking together when they see a child stuck at the top of a staircase, unable to get down. Hang rushes over to help him, but while doing so, his foot becomes caught in a net, causing him to be lifted into the air and putting him in danger of falling. Mary is horrified and tries to use her vampire strength to save him, but Sun stops her because the vampire monitoring department forbids vampires from using their abilities in front of humans for any reason. When Hang is about to fall, Sun is forced to use his own powers instead. He successfully saves him, then calls an ambulance and leaves before anyone can see him. Meanwhile, Mary catches the scent of Hang's blood, and to her, it is irresistible. Just as she is about to feed on it, Arya calls out to her and also notices the change in the color of her eyes. Afterward, Hang is taken to the hospital. Mary stays by his side, feeling devastated because she almost drank the blood of the person she loves. Later, Arya confronts Mary and tells her that she knows the truth. She knows that Mary is a vampire and that she hides the blood she drinks inside containers that look like juice bottles. Arya then threatens to tell Hang everything. After that, Mary packs her belongings and decides to move somewhere else because she can no longer stay in a place where people know her secret. The next day, Hang goes to school and finds all of his classmates gathered together. He asks about Mary, but no one answers him. He then pulls one of his friends aside and asks what happened. His friend tells him the whole truth, that Arya exposed Mary's secret in front of everyone, and when Mary found out, she decided to run away and move somewhere else. Hang refuses to believe what he has heard and begins searching for her in every place they used to visit together. He then goes to her house, but he cannot find her there either. At that moment, he remembers all the times she tried to explain the truth to him and finally understands why she always ran away whenever he tried to get close to her. Overwhelmed with sadness, he breaks down in tears. Days pass, and Hang returns to school, but the sadness is still clearly visible on his face. He begins seeing reminders of Mary everywhere, as if the entire school is filled with memories of her. Suddenly, he remembers the Lighthouse of Wishes. He goes there and prays to meet Mary again. When he arrives, he is shocked to find that she is already standing there. He looks at her and says, "I finally found you. Why did you run away and leave me alone? Even if everything they said about you is true, I will believe you, and I won't believe anyone else." However, Hang is still unable to fully accept the reality that they are different. Mary replies, "They weren't lying. I really am a vampire, and I know very well how much you hate vampires. Even though I hid the truth about myself from you, I never lied to you about my feelings. I truly love you, but the best solution for us is to stay away from each other." While they are talking, a large metal beam falls behind Mary, and she is on the verge of falling into the sea. But Hang manages to reach her in time and pulls her away from danger. He then grabs onto an iron bar to keep himself from falling. When Mary tries to help him, the iron bar breaks once again, causing Hang to fall into the sea. For the first time, Mary is forced to use her vampire powers appears, and she successfully saves him, but then a surprise occurs when Hang regains consciousness and looks at Mary, asking, "Who are you?" It turns out that he has lost his memory and can no longer remember anything. Afterward, he visits a doctor and tells him what happened. The doctor explains that, although he cannot remember anything, he feels that his heart is attached to someone, yet he cannot remember who that person is. Later, both Hang and Mary return to school. However, all the students look at Mary with fear and whisper that she is a vampire and should not be studying alongside them, as if she were an ordinary human. Despite this, Mary refuses to give up. She decides to face everyone and make them accept her presence, as well as the fact that she is a vampire. When she enters the classroom, all the students are afraid of her. No one wants to sit next to her or even come close to her. Therefore, she asks the teacher to allow her to sit in the front row so that she can remain in everyone's sight, hoping that their fear of her will gradually fade over time. After class ends, Mary goes to the music room and finds Hang there. He asks her why she distanced herself from him and why she revealed her identity to everyone and announced that she was a vampire. However, she does not answer him at all and simply leaves. As the days pass, the students' bullying of Mary grows worse and worse. Nevertheless, she has already made a promise to herself that she will never back down from what she started. One day, the students are gathered in the laboratory. When Mary enters, Hang approaches her and speaks to her harshly. Then, for no apparent reason, he tears her bag in front of everyone and leaves. However, Mary later discovers that he did not do it intentionally. Afterward, Hang takes his mother, whose relationship with him has improved since he lost his memory, and asks her to help him choose a new bag. He buys one and presents it to Mary at school as compensation for the bag he ruined. Mary feels extremely happy because she realizes that despite his deep hatred of vampires, he still defends her and always tries to protect her. At lunchtime, Mary sits alone to eat her meal. Some of the students who have been bullying her notice her and approach her. They try to convince her to leave the school, telling her that the students will never stop harassing her and that it will damage her mental well-being and exhaust her. But Mary refuses to leave. She tells them that she will make everyone love her again and that everything will eventually return to the way it was before. At that moment, Sun notices that Hang is watching Mary from a distance. He walks over to her and hugs her, believing that doing so might stir Hang's emotions and help him recover his memories. However, Hang is upset by what he sees and leaves the area. That night, Hang goes to see Mary and asks for her help because he keeps seeing her in his dreams, and even when he is alone, he hears her voice everywhere. Mary agrees to help him. The next day, the students' parents come to the school and complain about Mary's presence, claiming that she causes fear among the students. They demand that she be expelled from the school. However, Hang stands up and defends her. He tells them that vampires have been living among humans for many years and that people interact with them in their daily lives. He points out that they have never caused any problems or harmed humans. Hang also assures the parents that Mary has been attending the school for quite some time and has never caused any trouble during her time there. Furthermore, he tells them that, as the class president, he will take full responsibility for any actions she might take. After hearing his words, the parents are convinced and agree to let her remain at the school. Afterward, Hang returns to the classroom and tells the students that Mary will be sitting beside him and that he will be responsible for her and for anything that might happen because of her. From that day on, Hang accompanies Mary everywhere she goes. As a result, the students gradually begin to respect her and slowly stop bullying her. One day, the teacher enters the classroom and informs them that the school will be organizing a blood donation campaign the following day and that all students are expected to participate. The students become worried because they fear that Mary may not be able to control her instincts around the bags of blood. The next day, instead of going to school, Hang decides to take Mary to the Lighthouse of Wishes. There, each of them makes a wish. Mary's wish is that she and Hang will be able to return to that place together again in the future. That night, while Hang is changing his clothes, he suddenly begins experiencing strange hallucinations and visions. Shocked, he starts to recover some of his memories. However, the only thing he remembers at first is the moment when Mary leaned toward his neck and tried to drink his blood. He quickly gets dressed and goes to see her. Then he asks her whether she really tried to feed on his blood before. Because Mary has promised herself that she will never lie to him again, she tells him the complete truth. She explains that it happened while she was asleep and that she was not aware of what she was doing. Hang becomes furious. He tells her that he hates her and that she is a source of concern for everyone, just as the students claim. He also says that he regrets promising to take responsibility for her and demands that she leave the school. After saying this, he turns and walks walks away. The following day, Mary goes to school and gathers her belongings, preparing to leave for good. At the same time, Hang is in the music room, playing the same song that the band performed during the school concert. As he plays, all of his memories suddenly come flooding back at once. He remembers that Mary was always trying to stay away from him while he was the one chasing after her and trying to get closer to her. He also recalls the entire incident and realizes that when she tried to drink his blood, she was asleep and had no control over herself. He immediately rushes to find her and sincerely apologizes for everything he said. The two reconcile and make peace with each other once again. And with that, the story ends here. Please like and subscribe. See you again in the next drama. Goodbye.